Thank you. The first thing I would say is that we're all quite aware that we shouldn't listen to people like, David Cameron or George Bush or these kind of people. The first thing I always say is don't listen to me. I'll have very strong opinions today, probably quite extreme for some of you, and I'll speak quite passionately about those things, but don't confuse that with me believing that I'm right, because I don't have all the answers. I don't really even know what I'm talking about fully. But what I will do today is ask more deeper questions, because I think the big questions need to be asked. I think we've got our heads buried in the sand about a lot of issues, and so I will ask the right questions. It's up to you what you think the right answers are, because I certainly don't have the answers. The other one thing I would say is thank you. And that's not a thank you for coming here today, it's a thank you for wanting a better world, because I think as much as we've got different opinions about things in here, I think we all want a better world. Is there anybody here who does want a better world? So yeah, so thank you for wanting a better world, and for coming. I'm also a huge fan of transition, and I'm very, very supportive of local currencies. I think they've got a big role in the transition. I think the first kind of challenging thing I would say in front of a group that's transition bath is that I think there's a lot of delusion in the environmental movement at the moment. I don't think we're going deep enough with the questions. I think we need to really reconsider how fast we need to make the transition. I'm slightly dismayed at the amount of urgency in the environmental movement. It's kind of like we think that if we grow a couple of tomatoes in the back garden, it's all going to work out okay. I can guarantee it's not going to turn out okay if we just grow tomatoes in the back garden. And it's quite difficult to talk about these kind of things in front of people who are doing a lot of amazing stuff already. So it's a bit challenging for me, but I feel I have to be honest. And so today's talk will involve a lot of honesty. So I kind of ask you to leave your kind of fear and defensiveness at the front door, if you can. In terms of the talk itself, I'll introduce a bit about me, just my 2 minutes of my background. I sometimes do these talks for 3 hours, and because people want to know how I wipe my bum and how I brush my teeth and all these weird questions that I get asked millions of times. But I think I'll not bother going into the how today, and probably most of you will be more interested in the how, but I really believe that until you actually understand why one person would live without money, there's no way you would actually even consider the actual practicalities of doing it. So I'll concentrate on the why today. For the how, I've got 2 books here. Does anybody want a free book? Yeah? There's a lot of hands going up. So the first 2 people to go and give Peter and Eva a kiss for organising today's event.
They need to give 2 kisses to Eva.
2 kisses. 2 kisses to Eva and 4 for Peter. Right? So from this moment onwards, the first 2 people to give them a kiss, it gets a free book. I've already got 2. Who was the other kiss?
That was Simon.
Simon,
I've already got this actually, so I think we're going away to someone else.
I think this lady, if you don't mind, is...
As I'll donate
Yeah, I
to
don't
him
mind.
because he wants it.
I don't mind.
Just pass it on.
Didn't you say 2 kisses?
I don't know.
Just one.
This is not... Fighting over the free book isn't the spirit of the talk, so it's like... You really should be fighting about who
Started a fight now.
gets it. Yeah.
See what you've done.
This is quite a symbolic kind of thing. It's like you can see there's problems already. So yeah, so about me, just to explain a bit about my background, where I came from. My background is in economics, business. I studied economics for 6 years. Moved to the UK. Just by chance, I was destined for Monsanto or Tesco's or something, and by chance got involved in the organic food movement up in Edinburgh, and put me in touch with lots of amazing people who taught me a lot about ecology. So I was kind of coming from an economic perspective and then mixing that with ecology. And And done that for managed organic food company for about 5-6 years, and then got to a point in 2007 where I was completely and utterly angry with the world I was seeing around me. I was dismayed by what was happening around me, and I felt that organic food, as much as it's a huge stepping stone to a more sustainable way, and I'll talk about the difference between being more sustainable and sustainable in a bit, but I felt that it was a stepping stone, but it's definitely not the holy grail of living ecology. So I was sitting around with a friend. Actually, I'll go into that in a moment. I set up a project called Free Economy in 2007. Some of you may have heard of Free Economy, some may not have heard of it. But it's a kind of alternative economy, but it's based on a paid-for basis. There's no exchange, there's no currency. But I was feeling a bit hypocritical, feeling a bit like I was speaking out about the consequences of money, but not actually doing anything about it myself. I was using it as much as the next person. A friend challenged me on that one day, and kind of from there I realised actually I need to give up this thing we call money myself before I could actually speak out against it, just to see how it felt like as a human being to live without money, how it felt physically, how it felt spiritually, how it felt emotionally and mentally to live without this thing that we believe makes the world go round. And that's been a fascinating experience for me, just as a journey. And so yeah, I started as a 1-year experiment, and it's been, I was meant to give up after 12 months, but I couldn't contemplate going back into a world of traffic jams and utility bills and stress and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to keep on going, and it's been 2.5 years now, and it's about to take the next stage of its evolution, and I'll speak a bit about that at the end. So I'll get into the crux of it. The why. Why would one person decide to give up money? I think Molly spoke very well about what money is, and she's probably saved me about 20 minutes of my talk, which I can talk on other things. Thank you, Molly. And she's got it very right. If anybody wants to know about money, I think Molly's a very good person to go to find out the mechanisms of money and stuff. I speak about it in the first chapter of the book. The benefits of money are quite well known, like it's a medium of exchange and this stuff. What isn't understood is the inevitable and inherently destructive consequences of money. And that's what I kind of bring to the whole thing, into the debate. That's what my passion is to get out that this isn't just a neutral tool that can be used for good or for evil. I even believe in those concepts. So why did I give up money? There was a moment I was sitting on my old houseboat, Bristol Harbour, and talking to a friend about all the kind of major issues in the world, like factory farming and sweatshop labour and ecological destruction and deforestation, the masking of the oceans. You could go on for hours about the actual symptoms. And I was thinking, which one of these am I going to devote my life to? And I had this kind of moment's realisation, actually, these aren't all separate issues. They're not as separate as we think they are. They stem from the fact that we're very, very disconnected from what we consume. So since 13,000 years ago, but increasingly since the last 100 years, since industrialization and stuff, the degrees of separation between the consumer and the consumed keep on growing, to the point where we now have absolutely no relationship with either the stuff that we consume or the people who produce the stuff we consume, which means stuff that we would hate to have done in our name just happens. Like we all think here that we're living peaceful, non-violent lives, but we're not. Our lives are based on exploitation and violence. And I would really encourage you to really ponder that after today's talk, is that our entire lives are based on destruction and violence of the ecological world and everything that we share this planet with. And the gravity of that situation, I think, isn't fully appreciated. Like if we weren't white Western people, white Western humans actually, we'd probably see the world from a much different perspective right now. It's just because we're quite privileged, to be honest, that we see the world and we see the time scales in the way we do. We're destroying life for everything else on this planet so that we can have stuff. And whether that's, whether we go 5% locally through a local currency or whether we go 10% locally through a local currency, it's all kind of rearranging the deck chairs, to be honest, I feel. The ship's going down, and I think that there's a lack of urgency in the environmental movement right now.